3 years experience. Hired, 10 years experience. Rejected, same company, same interview. What happened? It is not ageism, it is not a culture fit issue, and it is definitely not because the junior developer accepted a lower salary. The reality is much more uncomfortable for anyone who has spent the last decade perfecting their craft in traditional software engineering. The senior developer spent the interview demonstrating how to build a complex architecture from scratch, proving their deep technical knowledge. The junior developer, however, didn't just write code. They demonstrated how to orchestrate AI agents to build the same solution in one-tenth of the time. The company didn't hire the junior for their raw coding ability. They hired them for their leverage. We are witnessing the single biggest shift in technical hiring since the internet bubble. The rules of the game have changed overnight, but most senior developers are still playing by the old rulebook. They are optimizing for syntax and memory management, while a new wave of engineers is optimizing for speed, implementation, and AI integration. In this video, I am going to show you exactly why companies are prioritizing AI fluency over traditional coding seniority. We will break down the specific leverage skills that allowed a candidate with significantly less experience to win the offer. I will show you the new hiring rubric used by forward-thinking tech companies and, most importantly, how you can adapt. Whether you are a fresher trying to break in or a veteran fighting to stay relevant, you need to understand this shift. If you rely solely on your years of experience to protect your career, you might be in trouble. Let us look at what the market data is actually saying. You might think that story about the rejected senior developer is an outlier. You might tell yourself that companies still value deep fundamental knowledge over AI tricks. But if you look closely at the current hiring landscape, you will see a pattern that is becoming impossible to ignore. We are seeing a silent crisis in the tech industry, specifically for mid to senior level professionals who have not integrated AI into their workflows. It is often called the silent layoff. It is not always a dramatic firing. Instead, it happens when a senior engineer leaves and the company realizes they don't need to replace them with another senior engineer. Instead, they hire a junior engineer equipped with Copilot, ChatGPT, and Cursor, or they simply distribute the workload to the existing team who are using these tools to double their output. The seat simply vanishes. Consider the traditional career contract we all signed up for. For the last 20 years, the path was clear. You start as a junior, you struggle with syntax, you learn the frameworks, and you slowly climb the ladder by memorizing standard libraries and best practices. Your value was directly tied to the knowledge stored in your head. You were paid for what you knew. But today, the cost of knowing syntax has dropped to near zero. Imagine a construction site. For decades, the most valuable person was the master bricklayer who could lay bricks perfectly straight, one by one, with their own hands. They were respected, they were well paid, but suddenly, the industry switched to prefabricated modular walls that are dropped in by cranes. The master bricklayer is still incredibly skilled at a task that the market no longer prioritizes. The new valuable role is the crane operator who can position 10 walls in the time it took the bricklayer to build one. This is exactly what is happening to software engineering. The bricklaying, which is writing boilerplate code, debugging syntax errors, and setting up environments, is being automated. If your entire identity is built on being the best bricklayer, you are in a precarious position. Let us look at the numbers. Reports from major tech hiring platforms in 2024 and heading into 2025 show a distinct shift. While overall tech hiring has slowed, job postings requiring AI integration, prompt engineering, or LLM orchestration have skyrocketed. But here is the scary part. The salary bands for traditional senior software engineering roles in non-AI sectors are stagnating, while roles that combine engineering with AI fluency are seeing premiums of 20 to 30%. The market is effectively saying that a developer who can wield AI is worth 1.5 to 2 times a developer who cannot, regardless of their tenure. This creates a painful reality for the purist developer. You know the type. They take pride in writing everything from scratch. They view AI-generated code as cheating or low quality. They might spend 3 days optimizing a function to reduce its execution time by 5 milliseconds. In a different era, this was heroism. Today, unless you are working on high-frequency trading or embedded systems, it is often viewed as a misallocation of resources. Meanwhile, the pragmatic developer, often with fewer years of experience, has used those 3 days to ship 2 entire features. Their code might not be artistically perfect, but it works, it is tested, and it is delivering value to the customer right now. In the eyes of a product manager or a CTO, the pragmatic developer is winning. Speed has always been important, but with AI, velocity has become the primary currency of the engineering department. The danger zone is specifically for those with 5 to 10 years of experience. You are too expensive to do junior work, but if you cannot leverage AI to multiply your output, you are not delivering the strategic value expected of a senior salary in 2026. You risk becoming a luxury item in a market that wants utility. This is not just about writing code faster, it is about the cognitive load. The traditional senior developer is often exhausted. They are mentally juggling complex dependency trees, syntax rules, and legacy logic. They are tired. The AI enabled developer is offloading that cognitive drudgery to the machine. They are not thinking about how to write the loop, they are thinking about what the loop should achieve. They are operating at a higher level of abstraction. If you continue to operate at the level of syntax while your competition operates at the level of architecture, you are fighting a losing battle. The gap between these two groups is widening every single month. And the terrifying part, the tools are getting better faster than you can improve your manual coding speed. So, if the bricklayer model of software engineering is dying, what replaces it? What is the specific framework that allowed that junior developer to outperform a veteran with 3 times the experience? The answer lies in a fundamental shift in how we define the role of an engineer. We are moving from the solo coder model to the AI orchestration model. This is the solution. This is the bridge between where you are today and where the industry is going. To understand this shift, we need to change our mental image of the job. For the last 20 years, we have visualized the software engineer as a pianist. A pianist is judged on their personal dexterity, their memory of the sheet music, and the speed at which their fingers can hit the keys. If you stop playing, the music stops. Your output is limited by your own physical hands. The new model, the AI Orchestrator, is not a pianist. They are a conductor. A conductor does not play every note. They might not touch a single instrument during the performance, but they control the tempo, the volume, and the harmony of an entire orchestra. They are responsible for the final output, but they leverage the capabilities of dozens of other musicians to create something far more complex than they could produce alone. In this analogy, the AI agents, ChatGPT, Claude, GitHub Copilot, are your musicians. They are tireless, they have perfect memory, and they are technically proficient. But without a conductor, they are chaotic. They hallucinate, they lose context, and they play out of key. The junior developer got hired because they walked into that interview acting like a conductor. They treated the interview problem not as a test of their personal memory, but as a management challenge. They used AI to generate the boilerplate, to write the unit tests, and to suggest edge cases while they focused entirely on the system design and the business logic. The senior developer failed because they insisted on playing every note themselves. They were so busy hitting keys that they couldn't hear the whole song. This orchestration model is the framework we are going to break down today. It is the path to relief for every anxious engineer watching this. Why? Because it transforms AI from a competitor that steals your job into a subordinate that does your heavy lifting. And if you want to stay ahead of these shifts, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We are building the most comprehensive library of AI career roadmaps on YouTube, specifically designed for professionals who want to survive and thrive in this new era. Now, let's get back to the framework. When you adopt this mindset, you stop worrying about whether an AI can write code faster than you. Of course, it can. Just like a tractor can plow a field faster than a farmer with a shovel. The value is not in the digging, the value is in deciding where to plant. This is where the hope lies, specifically for experienced professionals. If you are a senior engineer or a tech lead, you actually possess the most valuable skill in this new hierarchy: taste. You know what good architecture looks like. You know when a database schema will fail at scale. You know the difference between a secure system and a vulnerable one. A fresh graduate with GPT-4 can generate code, but they often cannot judge if that code is robust or maintainable. They lack the taste that comes from 10 years of production failures. The solution to your career anxiety is not to compete with AI on syntax. It is to elevate yourself above the syntax. It is to become the architect who directs the AI to build the house. This transition requires mastering 3 distinct layers of leverage. Picture a pyramid. This is the AI leverage pyramid. Most developers who say they use AI are stuck at the very bottom layer. They are using powerful tools in weak ways. To get hired in 2026 or to secure your position as a senior leader, you need to climb to the top of this pyramid. Let's start at the base. Level 1 is cognitive offloading. Think of this level as wearing a mechanical exoskeleton. An exoskeleton doesn't change what you do. You are still walking, lifting, and carrying, but it allows you to do it with superhuman endurance and speed. In the traditional workflow, a developer's brain is constantly taxed by low leverage memory tasks. You stop to look up the syntax for a specific library. You pause to remember the arguments for a date formatting function. You spend 20 minutes writing a regular expression to validate an email address. These are micro interruptions. They break your flow state. They consume your limited daily supply of decision making energy. At level 1, you use AI to strip away these micro interruptions. You are not asking the AI to design the system, you are simply using it to autocomplete your thoughts. When you need a boilerplate API endpoint, you don't type it character by character. You type a comment describing it, and the AI fills in the rest instantly. But here is the nuance that separates the pros from the amateurs. The professional developer uses this speed to stay in the problem space rather than the syntax space. Imagine a writer who doesn't have to worry about spelling, grammar, or typing speed. They can focus entirely on the story. That is cognitive offloading. It buys you the most valuable resource in engineering, which is mental clarity. When you aren't exhausted by the how, you can focus on the why. However, staying at level 1 is dangerous. This is where the junior with a bazooka problem comes from. A junior engineer at this level can generate code faster than they can understand it. They can create a mess at record speeds. This is why level 1 is table stakes, but it is not a career differentiator. To truly separate yourself, you need to move up to the middle layer. Level 2 is agentic workflows. This is the most critical shift for the next 2 years. This is where you stop treating the AI as a chatbot and start treating it as an employee. In a traditional workflow, the engineer does everything sequentially. You write the code, then you write the tests, then you write the documentation, then you fix the bugs. It is a linear, single threaded process. At level 2, you become a general contractor. Picture a construction site. The general contractor doesn't hammer every nail. They look at a blueprint and say, electricians, you go to room A. Plumbers, you go to room B. Framers, start on the second floor. They parallelize the work. In software terms, this means chaining AI tools together to handle different parts of the development lifecycle simultaneously. Here is what this looks like in practice without looking at a single line of code. Visualize a flowchart. In the first box, you have your architect agent. You give it a feature request. It doesn't write code, it writes a plan. It outlines the files needed and the logic required. That plan flows into the second box, the coder agent. This agent takes the plan and generates the raw functions. But, and this is key, it doesn't go to production yet. It flows to a third box, the reviewer agent. This agent is instructed to act like a grumpy senior security engineer. It scans the code specifically for vulnerabilities and bugs. If it finds one, it sends it back to the coder agent automatically. They loop until the code is clean. Finally, it flows to the scribe agent, which writes the documentation and the pull request summary. The engineer operating at level 2 isn't writing the loop. They are designing this flowchart. They are orchestrating a team of digital workers to produce a feature that is tested, documented, and secure in a fraction of the time it would take a human to do it linearly. This is the leverage that the rejected senior developer missed. They were proud of their ability to write the code. The hired junior developer was proud of their ability to build a system that writes the code. But there is still one problem. AI agents, no matter how smart, lack context. They don't know your company's long-term goals. They don't know that your user base is doubling next month. They don't know that the marketing team promised a specific integration. This brings us to the peak of the pyramid, the domain where experienced engineers are absolutely irreplaceable. Level 3 is system synthesis. If level 1 is the exoskeleton, and level 2 is the general contractor, then level 3 is the city planner. A city planner doesn't build buildings. They decide where the buildings go. They look at the landscape, the rivers, the hills, the existing roads, and they make high-stakes decisions about zoning and infrastructure. If they make a mistake, the traffic jams last for decades. In software, this is architecture and business logic. This is where your 10 years of experience becomes your superpower. An AI can write a microservice in seconds, but an AI cannot tell you if you should use microservices or a monolith for your specific team size and budget. An AI can optimize a database query, but it cannot tell you if that database schema will support the product roadmap 2 years from now. This is what we call taste. Taste is the accumulation of all the mistakes you have made in your career. It is the intuition that screams this is going to break when you see a certain design pattern. AI models do not have this intuition. They are trained on the average of all code, good and bad. They regress to the mean. The system synthesizer uses AI to handle the execution, but they fiercely guard the architectural decisions. They spend their time drawing diagrams, defining data contracts, and understanding the business requirements. When a company hires a senior AI engineer in 2026, this is what they are looking for. They want someone who can say, I will use AI agents to build these 5 modules rapidly, but I will personally design the communication protocol between them because that is where the risk lies. That is the winning answer in the interview. So let's revisit that interview scenario one last time. The senior candidate spent 45 minutes on the whiteboard solving a binary tree inversion problem. They showed they had memorized a textbook algorithm. The junior candidate, operating at the synthesis level, said, I can implement that algorithm in 3 seconds using Copilot. Instead, I'd like to spend the next 45 minutes sketching out how we can deploy this algorithm at scale, how we'll handle the data ingestion using an agentic pipeline, and how we'll monitor it for errors. The junior candidate moved the conversation up the value chain. They demonstrated that they understand the business outcome, not just the technical input. This is the uncomfortable truth. Syntax is becoming a commodity. Commodities get cheaper over time. Strategy and architecture are becoming scarce assets. Scarce assets get more expensive over time. If you are a senior developer, you are sitting on a gold mine of scarce assets. Your architectural knowledge, your domain expertise, your understanding of distributed systems. But you are burying that gold under a pile of manual coding tasks that an AI could do for you. You need to stop digging with a shovel and start driving the excavator. Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds great conceptually, but how do I actually do it? I can't just walk into work tomorrow and declare myself a city planner. You need a practical plan. You need to know which tools to install, which skills to practice, and how to start building your own agentic workflows this weekend. In the next video, we are going to move from strategy to tactics. I will break down the exact AI tech stack used by elite engineering teams in 2026, comparing the specific tools that are winning the market right now. You do not want to miss that comparison, so hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. But for today, here is the specific roadmap you need to follow. We are going to break this down into a 30-day plan designed to transform your workflow from manual bricklayer to system architect. It starts with a radical rule that you need to implement next Monday morning. We call it the 10-minute prohibition. For the next 30 days, whenever you are assigned a task, whether it is fixing a bug, writing a feature, or creating a database migration, you are forbidden from writing a single line of code for the first 10 minutes. This sounds counterintuitive. Your muscle memory will scream at you to open your editor and start typing import or function. Resist that urge. Instead, spend those 10 minutes in a design phase with an AI. Open a blank document or a canvas. Describe the problem in plain English. Ask the AI to propose 3 different architectural approaches. Ask it to list the potential edge cases. Ask it to generate the data structure. By forcing this pause, you are training your brain to operate at the city planner level, level 3 of our pyramid, before you descend into the details. You are forcing yourself to be the architect first and the coder second. Most engineers skip this. They dive straight into the code and get lost in the weeds. By the time the 10 minutes are up, you won't just have a plan. You will have the boilerplate, the tests, and the implementation strategy ready to go. You have just saved yourself 4 hours of debugging by spending 10 minutes on design. Once you have mastered the mindset, you need to upgrade your toolkit. This is the context integration phase. If you are still copying and pasting code between ChatGPT and your IDE, you are doing it wrong. That is the amateur loop. It is slow and it loses context. You need to switch to an AI native environment where the AI lives inside your code editor. Whether you use Cursor, GitHub Copilot Workspace, or similar tools, the goal is the same. The AI must be able to see your entire project. Here is the practical tip: stop asking generic questions. Start asking context aware questions. Instead of asking, how do I write a sorting function? You highlight your entire user management module and ask, given how I handled authentication in this file, how should I implement the password reset flow to match this pattern? This is how you build taste. You are teaching the AI your specific architectural style and then demanding it follows that style. You are the conductor ensuring the musician plays in key. Now, let's talk about the most common mistake engineers make during this transition: the black box trap. This is fatal. This is what gets people fired. The black box trap happens when you let the AI generate code that you do not fully understand and you commit it to the repository because it works. You must treat every line of AI generated code as if it were written by a brilliant but reckless intern. It might be genius, or it might contain a subtle security vulnerability that won't show up until production. Your new primary skill is not writing, it is auditing. You need to become the world's best code reviewer. You need to look at that AI generated function and ask, why did it choose this library? Is this loop efficient? Does this expose our API keys? If you cannot explain how the code works, you are not allowed to commit it. This is the golden rule of the AI engineer. The moment you lose intellectual control over your system is the moment you become obsolete. The value you provide to your company is your signature on the approved line. Finally, we need to address your portfolio. How do you prove to a hiring manager that you are a system synthesizer and not just a prompt kiddie? Stop showing code snippets. Nobody cares about your clean loops anymore. Start showing system diagrams. For your next side project, do not build a to-do list app. Build an agentic workflow. Build a system where one AI agent scrapes news articles, a second agent summarizes them, and a third agent formats them into a newsletter. When you go to an interview, show them the diagram of this workflow. Point to the boxes. Say, here is how I handle the error rate between agent A and agent B. Here is how I validated the output to prevent hallucinations. This changes the entire conversation. You are no longer talking about syntax. You are talking about orchestration, reliability, and system design. You are speaking the language of a principal engineer. Even if you are applying for a mid level role, the market is flooded with people who can generate code. It is starving for people who can design reliable systems using unreliable components. Be the person who brings reliability. The shift from coder to orchestrator is not just a technical upgrade, it is a survival strategy. It is the only way to ensure that as AI gets smarter, you get more valuable, not less. We started this video with a harsh reality: a senior developer rejected for a role they would have easily landed 5 years ago. It is a scary story if you view yourself as a bricklayer. But if you view yourself as an architect, it is the most exciting story in the history of our industry. For the first time in your career, your ability to build is not limited by your ability to type. It is not limited by how many syntax rules you can memorize. It is limited only by your imagination and your ability to orchestrate systems. Think about the side project you abandoned 3 years ago because it was too big for one person. Think about the startup idea you killed because you couldn't afford a team of engineers. Those barriers just evaporated. The 10x engineer used to be a toxic myth. Today, it is a baseline choice available to anyone willing to master these tools. You now have the roadmap. You understand the shift from solo pianist to conductor. You know that your value lies in system synthesis, not manual coding. The silent crisis in tech is only a crisis for those who refuse to adapt. For you, it is the greatest leverage moment of your life. Remember, AI won't replace you, but a software engineer using AI will. Make sure that engineer is you. I'll see you in the next one.